Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity, practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, welcome back to Reframing Mindset podcast. My name is Constant Brooks. I know we're at end of May 2023. And yeah, it's a sad and very sad ending to the month. And also promising, could be a promising look into the new month. I, and it's one of those things like, when I did an episode way back, about dreams becoming reality, and then after the reality becomes a responsibility of handling the dreams that you work for. It was one of those things again, and you have to realize, like, there was a point in time I didn't knew that podcasting exists. Now there was a point in time I didn't knew podcasting exists, and before those time, I was just a little boy growing up and all those stuff. And I was a little boy just growing up and all those stuff. And I had a family and stuff like that. And I know you reach this. I know I'm very older. I'm older. And what I realized is that now this podcast is just basically sharing all those experiences that I've learned through all those years. And now I'm at this phase, this next phase again. And that's one of those things where I'll be like, oh my gosh, is, would I, am I going to do this podcast forever? No, that you know, because one of the things I realize now, this phase is my life. This phase is just me trying to get the thing that I'm passionate about, to be able to do it the right way and able to maintain it. That's what this phase of my life is. So like, for example, I like playing games. So one of the things was I couldn't afford to actually buy the games and stuff like that. I think about it is that you can be like one of those persons, oh, I could buy the games for you or stuff like that. Nah, bro. Nah. It's a different feel when you actually can buy it yourself, buy the one you want without, as it, the, the podcast will tell about the podcast will tell about me manifesting my dream, and you realize all the BS is under the way. So this next phase of the podcast is me attempting to actually fix those wrongs, fix those wrongs where, that's the thing, when I learn, watch one of the YouTube videos before I go on my journey to try to get to reach somewhere in life, is that you realize that, when you grow up under your family's rules, and they grow up under your family's rules and all those stuff. And your family may not have the best start in life, but they give you based on how far they reach, and then when you come, they give you a better start than when they started, and you have to do that start to reach somewhere. And you can complain. Well, most time I did complain about the start that I had. It was some BS start. It was some BS start, but you learn to appreciate it when you realize the start that some other people have, and be like, oh, I appreciate the fact that I actually got this start, and it's a lot better than some of those stuff. But no, you're at this stage now. You're at this stage, and you say, okay, yes, I didn't have the best start, but no, I'm here, and now I have the ability to actually push it further. To have, so I could rewrite the bad start that I had, rewrite the bad start that I had, and have that dream, that have the start that I wish I had. Then when I had the start that I wish I had, for example, boom, I bring in an offspring. The offspring would have the start that I wish I would have. And then when the offspring grows up, he will be BSing as well, BSing as well about that. start as well, about that start. But when he grows older, you appreciate the fact that he had that start as well, and then that's a cycle of life and stuff like that. So what happened was at the end of this month, if you listen to podcasts and learn about my journey, you realize that one of those recurring things was my grandmother. My grandmother was a really big part of my life, because that's the thing about the grandmothers, bro. It's just so special, so special. And she passed away. She passed away, and it's one of those things where I'm very sad. Like when I got the news, it's like one of those times when I realized that I was there when I see her in her strongest state, and she went back in 2020, this 2020 episode. She was the one. So before I actually took this podcasting seriously, she was the one that basically recovered me because I was out there trying to get fresh out of university, trying to make my way in this real world, and it started out terribly because what happened is that the real world is very different than the university and the school world. That's what you realize. The real world is way more tough, way more tough. And when you try to use school logic in the real world, it can only get you so far, and it only got me so far because I was poor as a joke. So 2020 was me trying to recover. If you realize that, if you listen, it was me trying to recover. My grandmother was the one that kind of helped me recover. And what happened was that 2020 I kind of and I got to learn more about her. Learn because if for example you grow up in your grandmother's house and you're trying to get a house, it makes sense to learn from the person who got the house some way how to actually get a house. You know, so when you learn more, you learn about the trials, and then I learned about the trials and tribulations of how she reached that far. And then what happened was that during the pandemic or stuff like that, the actors start making a move. Like either was gonna sit there the whole 2020 and that's what this thing happened, or I'm gonna start make some move. And then I start make some move. But the thing about it that if you listen to the podcast, it's about unforeseen circumstances and stuff like that. Once you make a decision, or for example, the song "Opportunity Cost" or the term "opportunity cost," once you get the opportunity, it costs you something. And one of the things was that when the time I realized, okay, I'm going to make this move to actually try to get these what I want to get, is you have to realize that my grandmother is not getting younger. She's not getting younger, and even though she is strong and independent and always, can fend for herself and stuff like that. And I was trying to, gi- give her what she wanted. What I realized, she was, that during the time that she came up, she had her ways, and she was stuck in her ways. And no matter how I tried to actually influence her and make her life easier, she was just stuck to her ways because I realized that her time when she grew up, hard work was basically their DNA. So smart work, which I had smart work, not hard work, smart work. That was basically out the window with her because every time I came with my smart work, it didn't make sense for her. So hard work was our thing. And but the thing is, it was her home, so yeah, I had to live by her rules. But I wanted my way, my way. So I had to learn, and then I tried the streets, tried this real world, tried to make my way, and somehow at the end of May 2023, I'm here now, employed, unofficially a homeowner, and stuff like that, and a lot of the dreams are being fulfilled. But what happened was that my grandmother passed away this month, and if you remember last year, you realized another person, significant person, significant strong woman, or old strong woman powerful woman, I should say, went down as well. And it's one of those things where you realize that okay, you can actually, yeah, I could be, I am sad about it and stuff like that. But one of the things what I thought was taught in 2020 was the perspective of stuff, and you realize that, and the strong person that died last year, you know, the Queen of England and whatnot, and this year, my grandmother, you realize something, the age. What is the age? My grandmother was 90, and the Queen of England was basically around 95 or something like that. That's a lot of years. Like, my grandmother born before the independence of my country. And if you know what independence is, she grew up before we got stereotypical freedom. So she was, somewhat in the end of slavery and stuff like that. And be like, bro, and stuff like that. And then the queen that died last year, they were, it's like, so it's like one of those stuff where realize that perspective, perspective, the time that she grew up in, she had a certain mentality. Like, for example, I'm referring myself podcast, it's certain mentality. And her mentality got her to where she is now, where she is to the end of this month, even though she died before that, but she end up when she ended. And when you realize the time period, that's 90 years, bro, that is where I started with her, not because I'm 26 and stuff like that, where I started with her and where she ended. And when I get the perspective, like, bro, she was 90. And then she told me about where she started from. And then I kind of get a glimpse and being going around where she started from and stuff like that and realized where she ended. Bro, it's a lot of progress given the fact that, bro, we came from, she's coming from days where the country that she grew up in was not free and stuff like that. And she ended that way. It's not one of those things where, like, bro, yeah, after you have to actually appreciate the progress. She put in the work and she made the progress. And then one of the thing was you go up in a growing up in her home, if you listen to the podcast, you realize that okay, I grew up in a Christian home and stuff like that. So you realize, okay, for 26 years, this Bible has been beat down into me. You hear sprinkle up the Bible verses in the podcast and stuff like that. And it was more beaten down into me in 2020 when the whole pandemic was going on and stuff like that. And you have to realize that she was the one that, instilled it in me. And it's what got her so far. What got her so far, that's where she started her, you know, when she told me her story, she's like, yo, that's how our father was a Christian and stuff like that. And she loved her father and stuff like that. And so she it's not the perfect life where she be like, oh, Jesus, where she like, bro, came in a Christian and grew up and lived 90 years. No, she backslided and stuff like that. Hard time. She grew up in hard times, and everything was not perfect. But one time, she just say, okay, I'm just gonna give a full heart to God, and then boom, boom. All these years, 90 years later, she ended with with Jesus in her heart, bro. She ended, and that's some dedication. That's really some dedication, like, and it's one of those things where atheists would have say like, oh, that means you go to heaven and stuff like that. No, no, just like it's one of those, this reality is a great example for the atheists or people like that, or stuff like that, in the sense that, yeah, if um why she believes in God and why she say, okay, boom, this 90-year span of saying, yeah, God is the thing, and it convinced me as well, is because when you actually, I've lived 26 years with her, and so you know that the I've experienced 26 of her 90 years of the poverty that she had to go through, and I had to go through and stuff like that. But there were more years that she will grow poorer than that, poorer than that, poorer than that. And it's like, so what happened was that what changed, what changed was when she gave her heart to God. Not this, not, I really say change or something like that. But what happened was that, if you ask her, that's what changed. That was change. And the results show, the results show, it's not the sense that I can say, oh, I will say, oh, she's gone to heaven. And I will say that because, I believe in God in the sense that there, you know, his way is a Bible verse. His ways is higher than your ways. His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. So it's one of those things where if for the atheists or non-believers, this is are for myself, not for atheists. This is for myself, my test case of God testing me in a sense that the person that basically instilled this faith in me is gone, and then now I am here living, and for example, what if I live to see 90 years and stuff like that? I'm going to see many more years of changes, bad time and stuff like that, and be like, bro, I have to just keep the faith to the end. Keep the faith to the end. So that's one of the reasons why, you could say, oh, I I that's the reason why I say, I believe in a heaven. In the sense that you get the perspective. You get the perspective of 90 years of poverty, coming from a very poor state to where she ended. That's that's way more progress for the faith. That's way more progress than the faith. For the faith of believing in Jesus than most people. What atheists just do is just basically would criticize those 90 years and be like, oh, bro, she died or stuff like that. Does not God believe everlasting life or stuff like that? Nah, nah, bro. Nah, that's not the point. That's not the point, bro. Realize where she started, bro, and where she ended. That's 90 years progress for the faith. That's if you read the Bible, that's what the faith is, bro. The end is not yet, and that's what I, in 2020, what I learned, what she taught me was, the end is not yet, but you're gonna start seeing the signs. And when you see the signs, you have to just look up because redemption draweth nigh. And what she said again, there's no repent. What she told me was, there's no repentance in the grave. I know she's in the grave, so that's the reason why she prayed for that, all the ways and stuff like that, because she knows that there's no repentance in the grave, and she ended faithful to God. She ended faithful to God, you know. So she ended the way she wanted, and she ended peacefully. That's a good way to go out. That's the way to go, the way you believe in. That's better than many atheists is gonna go out. They're gonna go out. They're gonna go denying something that they say doesn't exist, bro. Why you gonna go trying to defend something that you don't believe in, bro? Why don't you just go out defending something you believe in, bro? You know, that's that's a better way than to just go out trying to defend something, trying to be right about something you don't believe in. But you go out ending in something you believe in, and so that is that is a great better example. The next thing is, if you're, my grandmother and stuff like that, she always told me what got her as she come from way, sons and daughters as well. And they grew up in very poor situation and that I came up growing up. Compared to how they grew up, I was pretty spoiled and stuff like that. So you'd have imagined that, bro. It's very poor days that they were coming from, and it's very poor days and stuff like that. So what one of the things that I realized that could increase my faith again, and I in the sense that it's not me increasing my faith that okay, I say yes, I believe in God or stuff like that. Because that's to increase the faith in for her. For me, I believe in God, but the thing about it is that I don't understand the power of God yet. I don't fully. I'm too. I would say I'm too young to fully understand the power of God. Compared to how my grandmother, situation came. I would have to, you know, I at this point I get as oh, I believe in God, but the heaven, bro, the heaven is yeah, it's way like I'm richer than I ever been, but heaven is way more richer than that, bro. When I really think about it, compare from where I'm coming from, and where my grandma is coming from, and where she's going, like bro, heaven is richer than that. That's one of those next things I get to actually just getting more excited about heaven in the sense that where she's coming from. She's richer than she ever been. When she ended with that with her loving family around her. That's another great way to end. That's another great way to end. And it's like, bro. And the next part of it was the prayer. Still said, so I told you that the start that I got was pretty good. Was a pretty, I would say, looking back at it, I wish I would have a better start, but compared to where my mother and uncle and stuff started, I would prefer my start way better. But what happened was that she ended. She ended, and the thing is that you will say, okay, she ended. But the prayer that she always told me that got her started was she sit down and said, I said she come from the days where she barely had a home, barely had shelter, barely had bathroom and stuff like that, barely had anything like that. And not only that, the world was not as upgraded as it is now. And the thing was that the world is gonna get better than this. And also was that so what she prayed for was that she doesn't ask for much. She just asks what she wanted, just a home, the bathroom and a nice bedroom and for her to live to see her children pass the worst. And if you look at it, the prayer was answered. And you realize, and people will say, okay, but she had to work for that and stuff like that. Yes, she had to work for it to and put in the work, and she did put in the work 90 years for them to pass the worst, and they did pass the worst and stuff like that. But the Bible did not say that okay, you're gonna pray and it's gonna happen. If you read the book of James, faith without work is dead. Faith without work is dead. So if you just prayed about it and then just sit back in a small home, she would have reached where she is now, where she had way more than she started. Back in her days, she didn't have AC in her room. She died when she passed away. She had AC in her room. That's an upgrade, bro. That's an upgrade. Like you be like you see that and be like, oh my god, that's such a commodity. That's the thing. When you listen to this episode, like if this episode 20 20 100 or stuff like that in the future, and you're gonna be like, bro, you listen to this verse and be like, oh my god, all these stuff are so stuff that we just take for granted now. When you listen to this episode now and then you make it to 20 20 50, and then you see all the 2050 babies coming out and be complaining about the stuff that you complain about and be like, oh my god, bro, So that's the thing. That's the thing. And you're gonna be one of those persons. You'll be like, oh my god, back in my days. I'll be like, oh my god, back in your days, 2000. So that's the thing. That's the thing where we like, bro, our prayer was answered. So that's the next thing that basically should increase your faith in God. Her prayer was answered. We came through a pandemic, and that pandemic kind of really kind of brought the family together and stuff like that, and kind of really. So it's like in many ways the prayer was answered. And the thing about it is that her prayer was answered as well in the sense that I passed some worse days. And a lot of curses that I had growing up, or a lot of things that were bothering me growing up was broken. And in that 2020 year where I said I just chill, take time to learn about, the stuff of the world and stuff like that. My grandmother and stuff like that. It made me to actually go out and find myself, and a lot of the curses that I started out with, things that I was insecure about, was broken in these 3 years. Was broken in 3 years. All of that started with just me, taking the time to actually gain. When I was growing up with her, I would just hear her. I would just hear her, but I wouldn't just really kind of validate her words because I said we did not grow up in a perfect family and perfect. So it's like animosity in the family home and stuff like that. But when I take the time to actually take the time to listen and then learn, and then not only learn but accept and understand and come to a mutual understanding to learn from the other side, the other perspective, you know, you basically get more insight to yourself to help you get give you more perspective on when you're on your journey, in a sense that I'm I'm complaining, and I got my university degree and stuff like that. I was complaining, bro, I'm not richer and stuff like that, because a lot of stuff that I thought I was doing those times that I could not really afford or dream about doing and stuff like that. But when you looking back at it now, and that's what my grandma was telling me was you had to be grateful for the fact that okay, you're in a home by me, not, and stuff like that, and grateful for all those stuff. You know, that's something I had to be grateful. Looking back now, you have to be grateful for the fact that I had that start of a home and such. Right, that to be like, yo, and as I said, there's a lot to say in this end, in a sense. It's a lot to say in this ending because you have to be like, bro, you know, I guess it's gonna be a 1 hour episode, so I have to end it and then come back up again. What happened is that when she told me, it's like, yo, but then back in 2020, so I'm 26 now. 3 years ago, I would be 23. Broke, barely had any life experience compared to her, and that's the thing, when she, when I look at her life and stuff like that, she was traveling so much and going so much places, but she went there to work and stuff like that. When I was back then, when I was back broke as a joke, when I just fresh out of university, one of my goals now, what my friend was to travel to a different country, a next country. I I wanted to, but I had no way to dream how the hell I'm going to manifest that. And she was doing that so much of her life and stuff like that. And most of my family got to do that as well, and it's getting to do that as well. And I barely had to start. I barely know how to start. But when I take a look at perspective again, she was 90. I'm just 26. She didn't start like that, bro. She didn't start like that. She had to work to actually get that thing, and then over time, when I came in, now I see it just as a commodity. When she just out there just traveling and stuff like that, but nah, bro. In her time, she had to work for it. Then, just like now, I have to work for it. That no, and then when I got it now, and other people see me as a commodity, Nah, bro, I had to work for it, put in the work so that you now get it as a commodity. Know that so the family, the sons and daughter, her son and daughter get it as a commodity. She had to put in the groundwork for us get that commodity. Then no, I had to put it. It says that one of those stuff. Perspective. That's one of the things. So we are coming at the end of 29 minutes. So I'm just gonna end this now and then go back and continue again. No. Yeah, so let's look out. Okay, yeah, so I'm back, So I'm back. So let's continue. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's it's a sad time. It's a sad time for me. For me and my journey. My journey. And but I had to just put it in perspective. She told me that okay, yo. She told me that this will happen. She told me that okay, yo, I can't be here forever. And that's the reason why when I left university all those years I was there with her broke as a joke, really could leave the home and stuff like that. I cherish those days. I cherish those days. You know, even though we weren't on the best terms because what happened was I had to live by her rules and I grew up in a Christian home. When it's time for her to watch the news and then watch her at church and stuff like that, I have to just adhere to it. I had to just adhere to it. But I cherish those days because I learned so much in those days. And there's a lot of those lessons that basically will just be imparted into me, just basically just going to be in me forever. Because I know the Bible verse, taught the child the way he should grow, and when he grow old, they will not depart from it. That's what she did. She was taught the way she should grow from her father, and when she grew old, she did not depart away from it. And she basically did the same to me, bro. She just keep teaching me the way to grow. And then, bro, I'm here now. And me, I depart with me. The thing about it, the thing about habit is that no matter how you try to deviate away from it, you love the way you were taught when you grow up. So if you were taught to grow up in chaos, when you grow old, you learn to actually embrace chaos and stuff like that. So what so that's the thing, the way I was taught up, the way it's a way that I always go back to, even my party days and stuff like that, and stuff like that. I love those days. And what put the perspective again is that being nine, my grand being 90, I could have way more of those days as well. Look coming forward, I could have made way more of those days coming forward as well. But at the end of the day, the way I was brought up, I really prefer it over m- many other lifestyles, and that's one of the things that I'm working towards. If you're subconscious, if you realize with the podcast, I'm working towards that lifestyle again, but in a more modern way, and then going up with the times as well. So that's the thing. That's the thing where I realize that okay, will be the same for her as well. Where in 2020 when I was going through my phase and I was relying on other means to actually try to progress and look for other information. When I went to her and told her the issue, and I didn't want to tell her the issue because I was a man. I was trying to figure out how to progress as a man in the real world. And then when I told her, I realized that, bro, she's a grandmother, bro. So she had my grandfather. So all those stuff that I question about, you know, she's gone through it. That's the thing about being there for 90 years. All this BS stuff that I will be out here hiding and trying to, I think she don't know, bro. She's been through it. And it's like, bro, it's like, that's one of those things. Is that so? When I went to her to it, what she went to, the Bible. That's what she grew up on. That's what brought her out of where she was, and that's so what she taught me was the Bible, and it was frustrating and stuff like that. But after 26 years of being brought down with the Bible, you just gotta love the Bible. You just can't not love the Bible. It's frustrating to read at times or something like that. But indirectly or directly, I just always get brought up to the Bible because that's the thing. God is too good and and too fun, bro. Like even bad times, I'm frustrated as hell with God and all those stuff and all those bad things that just keeps happening to me, bro. When the good times come, bro, you just have to just be grateful and be like, damn, bro, God, yeah, we're big chilling, we're loving life, bro, we're loving life, we're big chilling, loving life. That's the thing. That's the thing about it. That's the thing that not believing in God doesn't have, bro. You're so nihilistic about life, bro. You can't even get to can't even get to enjoy the good days because you're so nihilistic that you don't know when the when you don't know when the good days are here because you're always just looking for the bad days. But with God, bro, the Bible have the bad days, it has the good days. So that when the good days come, bro, you're rejoicing. You're rejoicing, you're big chilling, like, oh my God. But when the sad day come, you have to be like, okay, yes. It's a sad time, and then the Bible have tells you that the sad time it does pass away, bro. Sad time does pass away, so just keep the faith. So that's the part of the Bible, and I needed that on the start of this journey, and that's what she was telling me. What happened was that's what she was telling me all my 26 years. Give my heart to God. Give my heart to God. Stuff like that. And it wasn't until I actively decided, okay, let me just at least um listen to her for once. Listen to her for once. And then that's where you'll be like, okay, and maybe her idea would be right. And I realized her idea was right, her idea was right in the sense that, hey, yo, it's Bible, it has a lot of gems, bro. It has a lot of gems. You have to take time and really understand it for yourself. What I always recommend is that you could go to church and stuff like that, but you have to really take the time to actually learn it from yourself and someone that is passionate about it. Not passionate about it like a theologian or a person that, okay, scholar or stuff like that, a pastor, who have accepted and believe in it in yourself and are passionate about the Bible to give you a perfect start. And the start could be confusing for you. It was not confusing for me because my grandmother was doing it for so long. She was a pastor and all those stuff. Doing it for so long that when she came to me, started, she was better starting me from, about the situation because 90 or when I 89 plus years of practice gave me a good start. So made me more proficient in it. So that's one of those things that reality. The thing about the real world is that um what she told me was that nothing changes, nothing is new under the sun. What happened in 2020, she experienced in her lifetime, and she taught me how to actually get through it. She helped me get through it, and that what was able to help me keep me strong enough to reach this far. I know she's not here. She is someone I could always rely on to actually help me through bad situation. I know she's not here. It's one of those things where it's a good thing. All those times I got some of the lessons from her. I got some of the lessons from her. But the thing about it is that she's not here now. So I have to move. I have to push through. How will I do that? That's the interesting thing about going into next month. And that's the thing about her as well. She had to go through that as well. Her father that she loved and grew up and stuff like that. If you learn about the life story, it was really that sad. It's a sad journey to the end, but the end was pretty good. Yeah, the end was pretty good, and I made me love my grandmother even more, bro. But if this and then it was, but realize that she at her time as well, she had her family as well that passed away, mother and father, her grandmother, everybody as well. She had to learn to push forward, and then when she put forward, she did not push forward the perfect plan, but along the way she accepted God And one of the things what the Bible said was trust in the Lord, and what she told me, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all the ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. So you can't this future that she ended in, she couldn't see it back she couldn't see it back then, but she had faith in God. Boom. God leave her to this future and be like, bro, it's a great end. And not only that, you know, we had the time of the resurrection day. You know, that's the thing. And that's one of the reasons why I believe in God as well, for the resurrection day. That's in a sense that okay. And then one thing though, I can't prove it to you. I can't prove the resurrection day to you. I can't do it. And that's what I believe in it. Why? Because, you know, when I have the dreams that I have, you know, it's gonna take a long while to actually do manifest those dreams. You know, you don't happen overnight and stuff like that. So some way, somehow, the vision, um, it has to come to pass. You know, I can't do it if I'm dead. Can't vision can't come to pass if I'm dead, and that's what the Bible was there for. Actually, I help people give the hope for the vision. So the grandma got the vision as well, and she put her foot forward and brought us here. I had the vision plus my vision as well. So I have to carry on the button and bring it how far I can, and then boom, then and that's how evolution go on. I did episode as well on family evolution. That's how it goes. Uh, my grandmother did a lot that actually brought us out of where we're coming from, and we have to try to evolve from that as well to try to push it forward. If we stay stagnant, we're gonna go back, and then boom, our family just extinguish. And all those 90 years of progress will be for naught. So I have to actually just put in the focus now to actually start pushing things forward. Play my part, play my part. How I'm gonna play my part, bro? As my grandma would always say, bro, I'm just still young, bro. Still just young. So can't it don't happen overnight. So you just have to just play the part that I know how to play and how far I go. At least I push the button forward, bro. But like I said, bro, my faith in God is not gone. It's just the fact that the main source that I will rely on it from is gone. So I have to be like, it's just going. I guess this new phase is just a test for me to see how that manifestation of God is going to come to me again. To introduce my grandmother, where else is going to come to me? And I said the Bible, I have a thing about that as well, where I say, okay, righteous man steps are ordered. So yeah, I said each on her journey on her 90 years, when she told me a story about her travels and stuff like that, there were people that were helped, really Christian people as well, religious people as well, that help her on her journey to reach this far. And there was a lot of times she told me that during her journey, some rough times, like people would say like, yo, you would have been dead already, but you're here for a reason. And that reason for her was fulfilled. And then boom, just me now say boom, I could be dead already, given 2020. But I'm here for a reason. So I just push through, put in the reason until the reason comes. And then when my time comes, boom, I just do roll from the earth and big chill in heaven like everybody else, big chill in heaven with my ancestors and family, bro. My ancestors and family. Because that's the thing. That's my prayer when I was growing up. Was yes, all my family going to heaven, bro. Yeah, that was my prayers growing up. Yeah, and I still pray for it. I still do that. I think what that's the thing about prayer. Sometimes when I pray, it makes you feel good. It kind of does. Oh, just get out of the way and be like, oh my god. So that's the thing about prayer. It changes things. Yeah. So as I said, it's a very sad ending to the month, but it will be it will be sadder if I never actually got the lessons that she if I never really understood the lessons that she was teaching me, saying that yo, I won't be here forever. But these lessons, the thing was, she always say, well, I'm not rich, but the only thing I could give you is Jesus. And I got it. I got it before she got it. So, you know, I understood it now. Yeah. And next thing is she got to see me graduate university. She caught me. She was the well, I didn't actually go to the official graduation, but she lived to see that graduation picture, bro. She lived to see that graduation picture. So that's something great. She lived to see me get the driver's license. I showed her the driver's license and be like, yes, we did it. Um, and that's important and stuff like that. And then she lived to see me become an unofficial homeowner. So she lived to see me pass the worst of days and get a start as well. So we're grateful for that as well. Mhm. So yeah. So with that being said, the next thing is at the end of this month, uh, I guess what start what I wanted to start doing the next month is actually start research and make plans, certain plans of action for 2024. Because what happened was that a lot of things. What I realized over my years in the start, what happened was that a lot of things were out of my control, so I could not really make any certain plans. I'm now being employed now. I have to make somewhat making my own money, so I have the ability to make more certain plans because I have the funds to do so. I'll be more influenced by what others would be allow me to do. Being employed now give me more ability to actually do that. So I'll just start research, and then if I make 24, when I start, okay, I want to make this move, I can do it. I can do it because I put in the plan and research to actually make it happen. Next thing is, I got an AirPod, bro. AirPod. So what happens is that if I get an AirPod, you can get an AirPod as well, and you can increase your quality of listening to this podcast, bro. Your podcast listening quality can go up, so you can hear a great audio experience. But the thing about it is that the AirPods is kind of it's working on and off, so yeah. But um, the fact that I unlock the AirPods, you can unlock it as well. So the podcast quality for the future listeners is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. The only thing would be that maybe in the future when I'm more settled, I'd rather start sit down and maybe focus on the audio because I'm just freestyling it more now. I'm just freestyling it now. So maybe one day I would have to actually focus on tweaking it and stuff like that to make it more better so that future people can see here how, bro, yeah, this podcast was the thing, was the thing. But now I'm just freestyling it. Next thing is, oh, hmm, well, I guess one of the things I have to start looking to going to this new month is basically maybe I should maybe start considering cooking lunch to go to work now. Uh, yeah, bro. Uh, will I do that? That's the idea. I have to start cooking lunch to actually just for efficiency reason. But how I'm gonna do that, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be implemented in next month or what. But that's basically the dream for now. Um, alright, that's the plan for now. Will I do it? I don't know as yet. But that for some reason I want to do that. It's just me actually putting effort to actually cook and stuff like that. So yeah. And what I'm doing now in this next phase is saving more, because saving and saving and investing. That's what I would say. Saving and investing. So because what happens is that you're getting the pay, and I'm just basically living paycheck to paycheck. I'm just start putting some now that is going to help me propel me if I make it to 2024, because I said my grandmother died. You could rely on her, and what I realized is I'm not getting younger. My family will be here forever, and I have to start be able to sustain myself, because I have my own dreams as well. My family and their specific people have their own dreams and stuff. They have to support themselves. And so, when they're making their money, they can't be able to just rely on spending on me. I have to start, doing those stuff as well. So I have to actually start saving the money that I work to actually see fund my dreams as well, and fund my dreams how I want it as well and stuff. So yeah, like I said, this month, mm, sad ending to the month, bro. Sad ending to the month, but that's the thing about life, bro. It goes on, it goes on. She told me, bro, but it goes on. So this phase is the end of the phase with my grandmother, bro. Her lessons won't pass away. Her lessons won't pass away, though. They'll be carry on. But I guess this next phase going forward is going to be the post grandmother phase. Post grandmother phase of the podcast. Yeah. So with that being said, thank you for listening and look forward for the next episode. Okay. Okay, welcome back to Reframe Massive Podcast. My name is Concert Books. I know we're at the end of the month. Yeah. Got me. End of May. It's a sad ending to me, bro. It's a sad ending to me. And it's sad, and it's bro, it's a weird change, and it's one of those things again where be like, bro, when you manifest your dreams, when you manifest your dreams, the reality. I did one of those episodes before where you have the dream become reality, and then you have the reality that comes with it. And if you're hearing the rain in the background, bro, oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, well, let's keep it. Yeah, this is going to want to next be one of those next bloopers episode, no bloopers. Yeah, thank you for listening. Yeah, the real episode is coming soon. Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode. Like a motivational episode like that, in the sense that, you know, so you're listening to this, and whatever age you are, you know, once upon a time when you were younger, and what happened was that, you know, you were going to school, and your family was supporting you, giving you lunch money and all those stuff, and you just subconsciously expected that you, you expected that, okay, yeah, I'm going to school, the family going to support me, and if they were not rich or whatnot, when they go to school, they always find a way to actually send you and get you money and stuff like that. But you were young, and you may not have realized the struggle and the fight that they had to actually do to actually get those money to actually send you go to school. You just see it as